In this part of the tutorial, we're going to cover one of the most frequently used communication channels in User Engage, namely chat. I'm now in the chat section of the app, which is available under the conversation element of the main menu. What can I see here? Of course, right now I do not have any active conversations, so I'll go into incognito mode just to create a new conversation and to show you how the chat works from the client's perspective. Alright, so this is my application. As you can see, the chat is visible right here. We have already covered different ways of customizing the design of the widget itself, but now let's talk about its functionalities. When the user clicks the icon of the chat, it expands and it enables them to start typing. So, hi there. The message appears right here, and I'm automatically asked to provide an email address so that the admins of the website are able to contact me in case they're not able to respond immediately. So let's take a look at how this user that I am right now in incognito mode looks like in my application. He will be at the very top of the table, so it's a curl whip. And as you can see, a chat message from that person appears right here. As you can see, I can go directly to the conversation from within the user profile. Now let's provide an email address. So I'll go with and it's uploaded. Now let's refresh the page of this user. And as you can see, the email address is right here. Now let's go back to the chat conversation and see how it works from this side. As you can see, a new conversation has appeared right here on the list of conversation on the left. Now I'm automatically directed to that conversation thread, and on the right I see the user profile of that person I'm talking with. This is very handy because I can see all sorts of valuable information about my location, about my time zone, or the language I speak. Also, the agent is able to add tags and perform other activities directly from this panel. I can even turn off notifications from that particular user if he's just spamming or if he's just a bot. Now let's get to the main section of the chat. So as you can see, I'm able to close a conversation right now. What that means is that closed conversations in most cases are used by companies in situations when the agent does not have any tasks regarding this person at the moment. So for example, if the user asks me a question, hey, how do I do this and that? And I am not able to fully respond because I do not know the full context of the conversation, then I would just ask a question, something like, hey, but do you mean this or do you mean that? And close the conversation because there is nothing else I can do about it. So this is how most support teams work on User Engage. So they close conversation when there's nothing on their side to be done. In the middle I see the email address of the user, and on the right I can see the assignment of this user conversation. As you can see, currently it is unassigned, but I can click here and choose between different teams and people in my organization that are going to be assigned to this conversation. But what is the difference? As you might remember from the previous tutorials, the assignment of a conversation changes the way you're being notified about this conversation. I don't know if you remember, by going to notifications, you can switch notifications for different situations. So for example, when the conversation is assigned to others, I might not want to be notified about this message, about messages in this conversation, but when they are assigned to me, I might want to be notified in all possible ways because this is something I should respond to. So this is why assignment is very important. I will now assign this conversation to me and respond to this user. As you can see, you're able to select a toggle for sending messages using Enter. Now I'll turn it off. And now as you can see, the message is sent. Now let's take a look from the visitor's perspective. the messages here. Alright, now let's take a look at what we call conversations, because one user might have different conversation at different moments. So here's one conversation, but I can, as the user, I can start a new conversation by clicking this button. Another question, and the message is right here. As you can see, there is a small sign that tells me that there are new messages that I haven't seen yet, which disappears when I open the conversation. So as you can see, I have two conversations with the same person. I'm not sure if you remember, during the previous tutorial regarding team management and the basic setup of the system in your company, I've mentioned something which was called assignment rules. As you can see, for some reason this conversation is assigned to sales representative, even though the previous conversation I had with this user was manually assigned to me. So let's take a look at this rule that I've created in the team section. So as you can see, new people with an email address will be paired with sales representative's team. Now let's take a look at this conversation. After I've provided the email address within the chat panel right here, new conversations started to be assigned to sales representatives. So just a quick recap, just go to team management, create agent groups and assignment rules. Those will help you to match different users with different teams. So another example could be that if the user has some language or is in some country, then a particular person would be assigned for that conversation. In the top left corner, you can see the active dropdown. So this indicates that I am currently seeing conversations that are active at the moment. I can also see closed conversations and conversations that are created with an automated message. Those conversations, after the user replies, land in the active section again. Another thing I can do is I can search this list by going, for example, Lech. And as you can see, both conversations have been filtered because both of those users have Lech inside their email addresses. Now, another thing is the list of assignments. So currently I'm seeing all the conversations in the active section, but I can switch to showing, for example, only those conversations that are assigned to me or to sales representatives. So each of those channels have one conversation inside. One last thing regarding this user profile, you can search attributes just like this by going page views, for example. And another thing is that you can update users or add CRM deals and activities from within the chat. So this is very handy because by clicking add deal, the support agent can create a deal for the sales representative. I can also assign a tag which could be later used in automations for creating deals and assigning activities and so on. So those two elements, especially the activity element, helps you to organize your processes regarding more complex support tasks, such as going to the IT department to ask about something or checking a list of some features for a particular user. So when you have bigger activities regarding a user, it's great to create one in CRM. And now let's go to automations and automate sending a chat message. So create automation. Now make a simple automation. When someone visits the URL send chat message, then I want to send a chat message. So this is just to show you this module and show you how it works. So here I include the content of my message. Of course, I can underline some element of text, and this enables me to paste a more complex, rich type of content inside, so such as video, image, or even receiver tags. Receiver tags are something like the full name of the user or URL or any other attribute that you need to paste. They always have the same structure, so they go like Here you can also insert a default value. So when the user does not have any name in the system, then you can either paste nothing instead of the name or go, for example, friend. So instead of hi George, you can go hi friend if there is no name. So insert. This is how snippets of user attributes always look like in the system. Now the next thing is choosing the conversation settings. So should this message create a new conversation or be sent in the last active conversation? This is not so simple, and depending on the situation you will choose a different setting. Now message type. So how big should the message notification be? The micro is just a little dot, as you can see. Small looks like this. Then medium appears a lot higher, and the big one is in the middle of the screen. One of the last elements is the author. Of course, their profile picture will appear right here, and also their name will be visible inside the conversation. So I will stay with me and mark as read. So why have we added this option? So it's a quite complex situation where you don't have any checkbox for allowing any email communication. So the user signs up, provides their email address, and doesn't provide any consent for receiving email messages. But user engaged system by default, if the user does not reply for your message and is not on the website within 5 minutes, sends the same chat message that you deliver via email. So if one of your agents or some automated system sends a chat message to the user who's not on the website and they have their email address, but they haven't given you consent for email communication, they will receive this email anyway because it is marked as unread. So this is why we've included this checkbox. When you check it, then all the messages will be marked as read, which means that the user will not receive any email notification about them. So I will not check it this time. I can just save it and save the automation. Enable it, go each time the condition is met, chat message automation. Now let's go to our website and go to the page I've specified in the automation. As you can see, the chat message in this form has appeared. As you can see, the attribute has been changed into my name. And the message is right here. As you can see, this is my first conversation because I'm a different user now. There are two more key features of the chat app. The first one being notes. I can simply assign a note like a quick note. And when I send this, it looks like a message, but actually the user will not see it. This will only be visible to other agents in my application. The second feature being mentions. There is a small icon here for notifications that has this tab called mentions. I can mention other users in my chat messages or notes, and then they will be notified about this in this section. So I can, for example, mention myself. And as you can see, the message has been sent with my name in it. As you can see now, on the top right corner of the screen, my notifications include a mention. Now I can click right here and I'll be redirected to the conversation where I have been mentioned. So this is the second feature, and the third one, default replies. In most situations, 80% of your users will only ask 20% of different questions. So the same questions appear again and again. The best way to cope with that is to use ready-to-use default messages. So this is a feature that support agents really love and they use them every day. When you click here, you can see that you can create a default message for different situations. For example, I can create a new one called mentions in user engage. And now provide the content. So mentions, right. I can save it now. And as you can see, there are two default messages in my app right now. When I click on one, it will automatically load the content of this message into this input section. I can also just go hash, and then this window will automatically appear. And I'll be able to select the message that I need. I can also search here for the right message. So for example, I can go chat, and as you can see, it worked fine because this content of the message includes the word chat. Please bear in mind that this search field is case sensitive. So when I go mention, it will not find anything, but if I go mention, it works just fine.